Imagine a man born into nobility, feared by his enemies, loved by his people, and ultimately betrayed by his own friends. He was Julius Caesar, the man who changed the course of Roman history forever. Hello everyone, I'm Rai, and in this video, we'll explore the life of a legendary figure whose story is full of ambition, betrayal, and power. From his childhood in Rome, to his glorious military triumphs, to his death that shook the ancient world, we'll explore it all here. So, make sure you watch until the end, because the story of Julius Caesar is not just history, but also a lesson in how power can make a man immortal, even after death. On July 12, 100 BC in Rome, a baby was born to an ancient aristocratic family that had long since lost its political influence. The baby was named Gaius Julius Caesar, a name that would shake the entire ancient world and change the face of the Roman Empire forever. Caesar's family belonged to the Julia clan, which claimed direct descent from Aeneas, the legendary hero and son of the goddess Venus. This claim led young Caesar to grow up believing that he possessed a great destiny, as the blood of the gods flowed through his veins. Caesar grew up in a brutal political environment. As a teenager, Rome was in a period of crisis, rife with intrigue, corruption, and power struggles among generals and senators. At the age of 16, Caesar lost his father, Gaius Julius Caesar Sr., but at the same time, he began to be known for his intelligence, eloquence, and extraordinary ambition. When the dictator Lucius Cornelius Sulla seized power in Rome, Caesar, newly married to Cornelia, the daughter of one of Sulla's political enemies, refused to divorce her. This refusal enraged Sulla, who viewed Caesar as a threat. He ordered Caesar's death, but several influential friends pleaded with Sulla for mercy, and Caesar was eventually pardoned and exiled. Sulla then uttered a phrase that has become legendary. In this young man there was much of the dangerous Caesar, and the prophecy proved true. After being exiled, Caesar decided to flee Rome and join the Roman military in Asia Minor. There, he displayed extraordinary bravery. During an operation at Mytilene, he saved the lives of numerous soldiers and was awarded the military crown, Corona Civica, one of the highest honors a Roman citizen could receive. However, the most striking event in his young life occurred when he was kidnapped by pirates in the Aegean Sea. When the pirates demanded a ransom, Caesar laughed at them, saying they underestimated him. He even joked with his captors and promised that once he was free, he would return to capture and crucify them all. And indeed, Caesar immediately gathered a small force, pursued the pirates, captured them one by one, and crucified them just as he had promised. This story symbolizes Caesar's determination and firmness. He always kept his promises, even to his enemies. After returning to Rome, Caesar quickly rose through the political ranks. He was known as a powerful orator and populist, someone who could captivate the people with his words and authority. He began with a minor position as quaestor, then aedile, where he held large feasts and games for the Roman people, often using his own money. This earned him fame and popular love, even though it left him deeply in debt. But Caesar knew that in Rome, popularity was the currency of power, and he used it with great skill. In 60 BC, Caesar realized he couldn't ascend alone. So he formed a secret alliance with two of Rome's most influential figures: Pompey Magnus, the most respected general at the time, Marcus Licinius Crassus, the richest man in Rome. This alliance became known as the First Triumvirate. With their combined wealth, military might, and political charm, they gained complete control of Rome without the need for official dictatorship. As a result of the agreement, Caesar was appointed governor of Gaul, present-day France and Belgium. This is where his military career reached its peak. For nearly a decade, Caesar led his armies in conquering the stubborn Gallic tribes. From 58 to 50 BC, He personally recorded his campaigns in a monumental work, the Commentari de Bello Gallico. It is still studied today as a remarkable example of military strategy and rhetoric. In these campaigns, Caesar proved himself not only a politician, but also a brilliant general. He won dozens of battles, subjugated millions of people, and expanded Rome's territory to the North Sea. But beneath his glory, tensions arose. Pompey, once an ally, became a rival. Crassus died in the war in the east. The alliance was shattered. Rome was torn between two great powers, Caesar versus Pompey. In 49 BC, the Roman Senate, controlled by Pompey, ordered Caesar to disband his army and return to Rome. The order was clearly a political trap. Caesar pondered the situation. He knew that if he returned without an army, he would be captured. But if he advanced, he would be declaring war on his own country. Finally, he made a decision that would change history forever. With only a single loyal legion, Caesar crossed the Rubicon River, the legal boundary of Roman territory. At that moment, he said, "Alea iacta est," the die had been cast. Those words marked the beginning of the Roman Civil War. The war was fierce, but Caesar proved his genius on the battlefield. He defeated Pompey and his army in Greece in 48 BC. Pompey fled to Egypt, but there he was assassinated by King Ptolemy the Thegned, who hoped to please Caesar. However, when Caesar arrived in Egypt and was presented with Pompey's head, he wept, for although he was an enemy, Pompey was his longtime friend. It was also in Egypt that Caesar met Queen Cleopatra VII, a brilliant and ambitious woman who immediately captivated him. Their union resulted in the birth of a son, Caesarion. After the war, Caesar returned to Rome as the absolute victor. He was appointed dictator for life, an unprecedented position. As a sole ruler, Caesar not only lusted for power, but also implemented many important reforms. He changed the calendar system to the Julian calendar, which remains the basis for the modern calendar. He reduced corruption in government. He granted citizenship to many regions outside Italy. He reorganized the public debt and tax system. However, behind all his good deeds, there were serious concerns. Did Caesar intend to become king? Rome was a republic that had hated kings for centuries, and to the senators, Caesar began to seem like a tyrant. On March 15, 44 BC, known as the Ides of March, a conspiracy was born within the Roman Senate. Around 60 senators, including those once close to Caesar, plotted his assassination. Among them was Marcus Junius Brutus, a man Caesar considered like a son. As Caesar entered the Senate chamber in the theater of Pompey, the conspirators approached under the pretext of speaking. In an instant, dozens of knives were drawn. Caesar tried to fight back, but they were too many. When he saw Brutus among the stabbers, Caesar only managed to say softly, "Et tu, Brut?" You too, Brutus? Afterward, he fell beneath the statue of Pompey. Ironically, the statue of his former friend and longtime enemy. He died from 23 stab wounds. The death of Julius Caesar shook Rome. The senators expected the people to welcome his death as the end of tyranny, but the opposite happened. The people were enraged. They burned the houses of the assassins, and Rome descended into chaos once again. Shortly afterward, a more ambitious successor emerged. Octavian, Caesar's nephew and heir, who would become Augustus Caesar, the first ruler of the Roman Empire. Thus, Caesar's death marked the birth of the Roman Empire. More than 2,000 years after his death, Julius Caesar's name is still remembered as a symbol of ambition, glory, and tragedy. The word Caesar itself became the imperial title used by rulers after him. Kaiser in Germany and a Tsar in Russia, both derived from Caesar's name. He was a brilliant soldier, orator, writer, and politician, a man ahead of his time. But in the end, like many great figures, he was defeated not by enemies on the battlefield, but by the betrayal of those closest to him. Julius Caesar proved that one man can change the course of history, but also that absolute power always comes at a heavy price. He lived as a legend, and died as a warning that even gods can fall at the hands of mortals. Okay everyone, if you enjoyed this video, don't forget to hit the like and subscribe buttons below to encourage me to create more content like this. Okay friends, I'm Rai, goodbye, and see you in the next video.